Hi guys, we're team number 2. Our team consists of Enrique, Armando, and Mildred, and we're going to talk about the Incoterm FOB, which means free on board. First of all, do you know what an Incoterm is? Incoterm stands for International Commercial Terms, which are series of predefined commercial terms published by the ICC, which means International Chamber of Commerce. These are used in international commercial transactions or procurement processes. These were first published in 1936. The Incoterms rules have become an essential part of the daily language of trade. They have been incorporated in contracts for the sale of goods worldwide and provide rules and guidance to importers, exporters, lawyers, transporters, insurance, and students of international trade. The main Incoterm that we are going to talk about is free on board. What is free on board? Free on board means that the seller fulfills his obligations to deliver when the goods have passed over the ship's rail at the main port of shipment. This means that the buyer has to bear all costs and risk of loss of or damage to the goods from that point. This FOB requires the seller to clear the goods for export, and this term can only be used for sea or inland waterway transport. Now we are going to talk about the seller's rules.
Rule number 1. Provision of goods in conformity with the contract. The seller must provide the goods and the commercial invoice in conformity with the contract of sale and any other evidence of conformity which may be required by the contract. Rule number 2. Licenses, authorization, and formalities. The seller must obtain at his own risk and expense any export license or other official authorization and carry out all custom formalities necessary for the exportation of the goods. Rule number 3. Contract of carriage and insurance. The seller has no obligation to contract the carriage and the insurance. Rule number 4. Delivery. The seller must deliver the goods on board the vessel named by the buyer at the main port of shipment, on the date or within period stipulated. Rule number 5. Transfer of risk. The seller must bear all risk of loss and damage to the goods until the merchandise is on the board on the ship. Rule number 6. Division of costs. The seller must pay all costs related to the goods until they are on the ship. Also, the seller must pay all the costs of custom formalities necessary for the exportation, as well as duties, taxes, and other official charges payable upon exportation. Rule number 7. Notice to the buyer. The seller must give the buyer sufficient notice that the goods have been delivered on board. Rule number 8. Proof of delivery, transport document or equivalent electronic message. The seller must provide the buyer at the seller's expense with the initial document in proof of delivery. Rule number 9. Checking, packaging, and marking. The seller must pay the cost of those checking operations, such as checking quality, measuring, weighing, counting, etc., which are necessary for the purpose of delivering the goods. Rule number 10. Other obligation. The seller must render the buyer every assistance in obtaining any document issued or transmitted in the country of origin in order to the importation of the goods.
Created using Powtoon.